What's going on, guys? Welcome to our first review in the brand new studio. Today we are taking a look at the two brand new LEGO Speed Champion sets. We've heard some really good things about these. Heard there's a ton of brand new pieces and new colors, which we're excited about. So today we're gonna give you our honest feedback on these, and it all starts right now. Okay, first of all, these are really fun builds. So if you came to this video just to find out if you'd enjoy building these, I personally really enjoyed it. Again, this is not sponsored. I bought these with our own money, and these are our honest feedback on these. As you guys know, we do a lot of reviews that are both critical of LEGO sets and that support and suggest LEGO sets. And this is one where I had a lot of fun building these. But before you go ahead and buy, let me break down some things that you might want to know. So for starters, both are built to 8 wide, and you guys know we build our city to 6 wide. There's nothing wrong with 8 wide, but it makes building the roads a little bit more challenging, especially with the new road plates that LEGO came out with, because they're not wide enough for 8 wide builds. We do have some road plate tutorials on our channel to widen the roads and make them fit your city a little bit better. But for the most part, we tend to like to stick to 6 wide builds because they fit in the city a little bit better than the 8 wide builds do. So with both of these being built to 8 wide, we probably won't use them in our city, and for that reason, we're probably gonna part them out. And because we're gonna part them out, you won't see any stickers on these, just in case we decide to use the pieces down the road. Okay, so starting with the Lotus. This one was one of my favorites of all time. I really enjoyed putting this together. It's a really solid build. I actually dropped it while building it, and it's still held together. There are some parts to it that are a little bit more flimsy, like the front. I don't know if you can tell, but overall it is a really cool build, and it came together great. I'm really impressed with how all the pieces fit together, some of the techniques that LEGO is using. And to speak on that, when we were kids, the LEGO sets back in the 90s were so much simpler, and it's amazing to see LEGO come out with some really cool building techniques, especially for their vehicle builds. I mean, I'm really blown away with some of the techniques used in both of these builds, especially the red one, which I'll get to in a second. But the Lotus came out awesome, and they used some really cool little pieces, like the surfboard on the back, snowboard on the back. And speaking of the pieces, these are actually some of my favorite pieces that were used in the set. There's a lot of recolors, and there's some also new pieces like the new curved slopes. But the color green that's used throughout the set will really come in handy for future custom builds that we plan to do with the pieces that came along with this. Building it was simple. Compared to the red, I thought that this one is a little bit easier overall. Well, we had a blast building both, as I mentioned, but for whatever reason, I really enjoyed the Lotus build. I thought it came out great. Took about 30 minutes for me to put together, and that was including one area that I messed up on. But all said and done, it really did turn out better than expected, and I wish it was 6 wide because then we would add it to our city. So I may try and figure out a way to do a 6 wide version of this. Again, the pieces that came with it are beautiful. There are some really cool dark green colors. I do wish that the headlights on this one were built in rather than printed on. I tend to like that a little bit more, whereas on the red, they're actually built in. I think it looks a little bit more realistic, so I would have liked to see some trans colors used, although it's a little tough with the slope on the front of this guy. But other than that, definitely A+. I really enjoyed this one. Now, moving on to the red. This one I did not like as much. I thought the build itself was really fun, and the techniques that they used were really cool. I mean, if you look at the bottom of it, it may be hard to see, but there are just some really intricate workings in there as far as holding everything together. And I also thought the pieces for this one were interesting. There weren't a lot of recolors or new pieces for this one, but I thought the windshield itself was interesting, as well as the gold wheels are great, and some of the other red brackets and pieces used. Now, here's my issue with this one. First of all, the front it holds on well, and I think LEGO did a good job of figuring out a way to make the front slope the way it needs to. But overall, it's a little flimsy, and I think if you were to drop it, like I did with the Lotus, this one would definitely fall apart. Accessing the interior is really easy with the flip-up windshield, but the other thing that really kind of annoys me about this one, it's not actually 8 wide. The front is 8 wide, but when you get to the back, it's actually 9 studs wide, which is insane for a vehicle build if you think about it, because LEGO trains are sold at 6 wide. LEGO airplanes are sold anywhere from 6 to 8 wide. So this car is 9 wide, and it is essentially 3 studs wider than most of the LEGO train sets. So I just think some of the vehicles are getting a little bit big, especially for the Lego plates that they came out with for the new city streets. I mean, it's not gonna fit very well on the official Lego road plates. And for that reason, not a huge fan of this one as far as using it in a Lego city, but I do think it makes a really good display model. We're gonna piece this out, and that's why I didn't put stickers on it. Part it out, excuse me, but that's kind of my takeaway on that one. I do think the minifigs that come with them are really cool. They do use some reprints for the faces, but overall, I mean, I thought that the ones that were included with each one were great. The sticker sheets as well were really cool. And let's talk about pricing breakdown, because I know that that's always really important as well. So both of these were sold on Amazon for $19.99, and I believe that's the same price that's found in the Lego store. As you know, prices with Lego are going up, as with prices with most things. It's really hard to stick to that 5 to 7 cents per piece that we used to like to stick to. If you think back, the Porsche build for a few years back for the Speed Champions, although it was 6 wide, that was sold for $9.99, and that was a great deal. These, on the other hand, are sold for about 20 bucks, and with each you get a little over 200 parts. You do end up getting more with the red. So which one's the better deal? Well, it's a tough one, because when you really break it down, the Lotus comes with 247 parts. So when you do the math, that's about 8 cents a part. And it's a little high for what we typically go for, but honestly not terrible. Whereas the Ferrari, 291 parts, which comes out to 7 cents a piece. And that's right on target with where we'd like to be with a Lego set, where we're getting it for parts, or even just using it in our collection. So when you go based off of price per piece, technically the Ferrari is a better deal, and you do get some really good parts in there. However, I would argue that because of the dark green of the Lotus, the parts are, one, a little bit more rare and hard to find. There are some recolors in here, and there's some really great part selection just overall. So if I were to buy one over the other, I would go with the Lotus, because not only is it a fun and awesome build, it looks great, but the parts that come with it are worth paying just slightly more, in my opinion. So in conclusion, really enjoyed both builds and highly recommend both. I think overall the Lotus build is just a little bit better as far as what you get for it, how sturdy it is, and just the overall look and feel. I think it also fits on the Lego roads a little bit better. So if you are planning to add it to your city, I think it will fit in a little bit better than the red would. Not to mention the red will probably stand out on your city streets. So having it 9 wide in the back here is gonna look a little weird. I get that this technically isn't really a street car. They built it off of, you know, a Ferrari racing car. But I think this is really more of a shelf model. And for that reason, this is my number 2. And Lotus is my number 1. So I hope you guys liked the review and breakdown. I'm a little sick right now, so hopefully it wasn't too annoying and sounding congested, but at the end of the day, we wanted to get the review out and let you guys know our honest feedback on these two. Lego's coming out with some really cool sets lately. Really excited to start building some and get the city set up. If you haven't seen our city update video as far as where we are with the move, you can find it right here, and that will tell you exactly what's going on with the move and when you can see the next city update. But thanks again for watching today's video. We'll see you next time, and make sure you're subscribed if you aren't already. Thanks.